You're here. Welcome to the Masterminding Success podcast. They say if you want to be successful in business and in life, then surround yourself with successful people. So pull up a seat. The mastermind is about to begin.
Hey, glad you could join us for another episode of the Masterminding Success podcast. We're your hosts, Keith Wheeler
and Nuria.
And what are we talking about today, Nuria?
Today is another really interesting topic, and it's all about selling more books, which is something we all want to do.
Yes, if you're publishing books, whether it's self-publishing or traditionally publishing, selling more books is definitely something that you want to do. You know, you want to get your book baby out there.
Yes, because creating a book or writing a book takes a long time, but that's just half of the work, I think. Yeah. Once you've written your book, that's when the real work starts, all the marketing and promoting and everything else that you have to do. So I think for me, I've recently been able to increase my book sales quite a bit compared to last year. And I can honestly point it towards a few things. And I think the first one would be I advertise more, I promote more on Amazon itself with ads. Is that something you do, Keith?
I do. I run ads. Ads have been really successful for me. The one caveat when it comes to running ads for me is running ads is not something that you just set it and forget it. So if you don't have the time, or at least in my opinion, if you don't have the time or the desire to keep an eye on those ads, unless you have a big budget to go with, then you might want to be more sparing with the ads that you run, because even though things like Amazon ads are really good at not spending a lot of your money, if you just set it and forget it, then you could be wasting money and end up not being as profitable. In general, ads definitely work for me.
It's the one thing that's really helped this year. I would say that when I first started, I didn't run any ads the first year, and I'm glad I didn't, because it kind of showed me that it can be done without ads, but the difference is like night and day. I mean, you just sell so many more books if you can run ads. But saying that, you have to have the budget. And that's why I didn't run any ads in the first year, because I didn't have the budget. I hadn't earned much money yet. So it seemed counterproductive to spend money when I hadn't earned much in the first place. And I tried ads after about 6 or 7 months or so. And I didn't know what I was doing, and the ads just spent a lot of money for no results. And then I stopped, because I thought, no, let me learn about ads first. Let me find out how this works. And then I started looking into it a little bit more. And ads is not something that you can learn quickly, and there isn't a formula that fits everybody. Because I know a lot of people ask me, can you tell me more about your ad strategy? And I always find that a little bit pointless, because my ad strategy is not going to work for your books. It's every book is different.
My book's not your book.
Exactly. And every ad I run it differently for different niches or for different books as well. And it's not easy. I would say that running ads is for someone really brave who can sort of think, okay, I'm willing to lose this money if I don't get anything from it. And that's not easy to do, and it's only now that I've got the budget to run ads. So I can see that there's a real connection. The more of a budget you have to run ads, the more you will sell. Doesn't mean that your ads are necessarily running in the best way. I'm not very good at running ads, in the sense that I could probably spend less and maybe sell more. I don't know. I'm still learning. So I'm still experimenting with ads. But I can definitely say that it's worth me running the ads, even though some of my ACOS, the cost for running ads, is a little bit too high. So they leave me with less profit. But as long as I make a profit and I sell books organically, then I think that's fine. So It's a big subject, running ads, but it's definitely, for the purpose of this podcast, now we're talking about how to increase book sales. I would say it's a really important part of increasing your book sales.
Yeah, I agree. Running ads, just like with most things in business, is something that you're going to continue to learn. To begin with, absolutely, I suggest learning, without running ads. But at some point, you do have to learn by doing. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I've been running ads for probably 5 years, and I'm still always learning something new. Mm-hmm. Like, you were saying that, what works for you in your particular book may not work for me in my book. But even within a specific book, something that may work for my book, 2 months ago may start to slow down. Yes. And I may, and so you need to be able to pivot and see, there's more than just one type of ad to run on Amazon. Yeah. And even if yours is currently successful, it could be even better if you try one of the other ones. So right. I'm really big at trying different things, and and starting them off at a reasonable budget. And if it starts taking off, then obviously I'll put more fuel on the fire. But yeah, running ads is definitely a way to sell more books.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's been probably one of the biggest factors in my case, but there are other things you can do. And the other thing that I noticed that increased my book sales a lot is creating A+ content as well. And I know that a lot of people are still asking and saying, is it worth doing A+ content? Or they're saying, the look inside isn't showing for low content books. It's a big problem. Should I just give up? A+ content is the biggest and greatest things that has come out for a long time, I think, because it's like a sales page for your book. You can really showcase your book, and not just the book that you're selling, but also cross-reference other books. Right. And that has helped me enormously, because I've put some books together that complement each other, and I get, one person buys the book that they're landing on, and they're seeing the other books that I've got in the same sort of niche, and they're buying off that as well. So A+ content has been a game changer for me. And I know that. I know, from the sales that I'm getting, that's been a big contributor to getting my sales increased. Do you find that? Because I know some people are still skeptical about it.
Well, no, I absolutely love A+. I do know A+ is not currently available in all countries, but it's they're slowly rolling it out to others. But yeah, no, one of the things that one of the questions I used to get all the time, when it comes to books in the look inside feature in particular, before A+ content came out, is can I show more of my book? Can I pick what pages my book shows? And the answer with A+, with the look inside feature, is you can request more percent of your book. But as far as picking and choosing what pages you show, no, you can't do that in the look inside feature. But you can with A+ content. With A+ content, you can pick, the best illustrations from your children's book, or, where the exciting parts, or you can pick certain sections or whatever. And that's one of the great things about A+ content. One of the things I like for the no content, low content is you can do a comparison chart. So if you have a series, like for my puzzle books, if I have a series of puzzle books, I can list the different puzzle books, and then I can, in the grid, show which puzzle types are in which ones. And what that does is, not only does that show what's in, volume 1, but they also get to see all the other puzzle types that I offer in my other books, which normally they wouldn't be able to see. Even with the look inside feature, they can only see what's in that book, not all the other possibilities.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. The comparison module that you can use. It's brilliant, because you can show your other books at the same time. Right. You like this one, have a look at this one.
And super easy to implement. Like, it's not difficult at all.
Yeah, and it's clickable, so it takes people directly to the book that you are cross-referencing. To me, it's been, even things like notebooks. I've got notebooks in a specific niche, and they've started selling after I created A+ content, really. And I think if you look at a notebook or any book, the description is all very well, but a lot of people don't even read the description. And
That's true.
content, A+ content is very visual, so they can see it in pictures, what they're getting. And it's like a shop window. If you've got a shop or store, you dress up your window as best as you can, because that's showing off your products and what you're offering your customers. And A+ content is the shop window for your book, really. So to me, that's made a big difference as well in sales.
Yeah, and also to add on top of that, one thing that when it comes to mobile devices, the A+ content shows very early in this when you click on a page. It's actually, if I remember correctly, it shows before the description does.
Yeah.
And so it's a huge game changer if you've got access to it. One of the things that I tell people early on, before you even really start writing your book, or as early as you can, a good way to start selling books and to sell more books is to get that buzz going early. Let people know that you're writing a book and what it's about. Give them regular updates. It does two things. One is it gets that buzz going, gets people talking about it and knowing about it, but also holds you accountable.
Yes.
It's you're telling other people that I'm working on this. So eventually, if you stop working on it, if you start procrastinating and slacking off, someone's going to be like, how's that book coming? Oh, I'm still on page 1,
Yes.
But then you can do title reveals, make a big party out of it, or say, I'm thinking of these 4 titles for my book, or 3 titles for my book. Let me know which one you prefer, even if you already know what the title's going to be. And the same thing for the covers. And by getting other people's input, they now have a vested interest in your book. And now they're even more interested in what the progress is, how's it going, what does it look like? And these are really, really good ways to get early sales.
That's right.
And with early sales, early book reviews.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that is kind of going into the next thing that I was going to mention that has increased my book sales, and that is branding. Because you're kind of creating a brand, and like what you said about not warning people in advance, but letting people know in advance that you're writing a book. It's kind of part of your brand as well. And for me, branding has really worked well. And by branding, I mean, you have a particular pen name that you're using for a particular niche or particular genre. And then you're using that name to sort of promote your books on social media. There's so many ways you can promote it once you have a clear brand of your books. In my case, it was really interesting because, on Amazon, when you're selling your books, you don't really know who your customers are. You can't get in touch with them. Amazon is the seller and we're just the authors.
Right.
And the only way we can communicate, and it's very one-sided, is from feedback that people leave. But obviously you still don't know who they are. And someone tracked me down onto my Etsy shop, because one of my Etsy shops is in the same niche as some of my books. And they said, I bought one of your books on Amazon, and I just wanted to thank you and tell you what I've done with it and all the rest of it. And I thought, how nice is that? And the only reason they found me is because my Etsy shop had the same name as my pen name. So I thought that was a really interesting thing to happen at the time. And that's when I started branding my books more. I paid more attention to staying in the same niche, building on that niche, and that has really helped my book sales as well. So it's really important to promote outside of Amazon as well. And that means basically social media, and there's all sorts of platforms you can choose. And what I would say to people, and people get this wrong, they just post their books on their own Facebook pages or their Twitter page. And who sees it? Well, it's only friends and family that are going to see that book. They're not your audience. You shouldn't ever promote your books on your personal Facebook page. You create a special social media platform for your pen name. So whether that's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and you pick one or two the most, I would say, because if you do more platforms than that, it's really hard work, as I found out. And just concentrate on one or two, and don't sell your books. And by that, I mean, post different kind of things, post funny memes that are related to your niche, post stories that are related to your niche. And then now and again, you tell them about one of your books, but don't keep bombarding them with book after book, because that doesn't work. So there is an art to it, and there is a way of doing it right, as with anything. But if you can do it the right way, and you can tap into that has really increased my book sales this year as well. So that's 3 things that I would say: ads, A+ content, and branding your books. To me, that is the main way that's worked for me personally. But different things work for different people. Have you ever done things like a book launch, Keith?
I've done a book launch. And the thing with book launches is it really comes with how you first do it. Do you just try to get everybody there on one day, or do you kind of stretch it out over, a week or a month or whatever? And what I found for long-term consistency is to not just do it as one day, do it over a week, or do it over 2 weeks, because what that does is that lets the Amazon algorithm know that you're not just it's not just a fluke. Like if you don't have any sales, or very little sales, and then you get a spike, and then it goes back to very little, then Amazon's algorithm is just going to be like, oh, this is, that was just a fluke, and it's not consistent. Whereas if you plan out your launch to increase, and like the last launch I did, what I did was the first day I went out to a few people, or like a portion of my group, and then I went a little bit further on the next day and the next day. So it's actually every day I'm sending it to more and more people. And because of that, just by the numbers game, you're going to get more and more clicks, more and more sales as the week progresses. So it looks like your book is getting more and more popular. And, and so that has been very helpful with me in not only the initial sales with a book, but also just more long-term sales. Getting back to what you were saying before about brands, one thing that I want to make clear is, or at least my suggestion, even if your pen name is your name, should still have a separate account for whether it's on Facebook or whatever. And it could just be the name of your business, or it could be Keith Wheeler author, whatever. Just something as simple as adding author to it. Just something that makes it stand out and makes it separate than the one with your friends and family. Because one thing that you kind of touched on is that your friends and family aren't your target audience. And so I know a lot of friends and family want to help out, and they want to buy your book, and that's great. But the better way that they can help you out is by spreading the word about your book. Because those first sales are great, that they're doing. But again, going back to the Amazon algorithm and other marketplaces, I say Amazon, but we're talking about all the other platforms as well. But the algorithm takes into account what similarities people that are buying your book have, so it knows who to promote it to in the future. But if it's all your friends and family, which have completely different likes and dislikes and interests than your target audience, and many times from each other, then the algorithm has no clue who your book is for. And so you're they're trying to help you out, and unintentionally actually hindering your future sales for your book. And I mean, and if that's the case, it's not something that is, something that you can't fix. It absolutely can be done, but it's a lot more work to fix it after you've confused the algorithm.
And it's also the wrong, I agree with everything you just said there. That's really important. But it's also about growing your audience, and you can't grow your friends and family. They are what they are, and they're always going to be in the same numbers. You might gain a couple
Right.
of friends more in life, but it's a small number compared to the number of people that you really want to reach.
Right.
So for that reason, it's a business. Your book is a product of your business, and you need to treat it like that. You don't want to, even if you have a small business. I saw that a lot when I had my small business, and other people like me were promoting to their friends and family, and they cannot buy off you constantly.
Right.
They might help out once or twice, if they even do that, but they can't be your constant customer. You need volume of people, and you need to reach out further afield as well. So never use your personal Facebook page or Twitter
Yep.
or whatever social media platform you have. That's what business pages are for. On Facebook, you can have a business page. You can use a different Instagram account for your business as well. So, and Instagram is really good for books, I find, because it's very visual,
Yep.
So that's a good one. TikTok is a good one because of book talk. So you can use the hashtag book talk for that. There are lots and lots of ways of promoting your books. And the best thing about that is it's free. So,
Yeah.
You don't have to spend on ads if you don't want to. You can as well, but, it's a
Yeah.
really good way of promoting your books. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of it comes down to knowing your target audience and where they're at.
Definitely.
If your target audience is more males and more tech savvy, then you probably don't want to post on Pinterest,
No.
you or Instagram. You'll probably want to do something more techie, like Reddit or things like that.
Twitter, yeah.
Right. Whereas if it is geared toward, like children's books, children's books are for kids, but the kids aren't the ones buying it, and many moms, or aunts or grandparents or whatever buy it. And so then Pinterest might be a good place for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are definitely things to take into consideration.
Yeah.
And there's no silver bullet from what I've found. There's no one size fits all, like we talked about before. There's no, Keith said that, I should put it on Pinterest. Well, Pinterest might not work for you. That doesn't mean take it off Pinterest and put it somewhere else. Leave it on Pinterest. It's not hurting you sitting there. But, also, if you put it on Pinterest, are you doing anything with your Pinterest board? If no one's coming to it, it's not going to sell, and that's when, you were talking about ads. There are ads on other platforms besides Amazon. Facebook ads can be one of the most successful, but can also be one of the most pricey, if you don't know what you're doing. But getting back to what you were saying before about branding a little bit, is another way that I found to sell more books is to publish more books. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, and I was going to say write more books, but I understand that not everybody's writing books. Sometimes we're doing, no content, low content books, and that's fine too. Everything that we've brought up, all of the suggestions we've made are relevant to no content, low content books as well. You might have to do it a little bit differently. Chances are you're going to be doing it under a pen name, not your own name. But either way, I mean, running Amazon or running ads in general, sharing it with, the world, I mean, all of the stuff that we talked about are things that can absolutely be relevant regardless of what kind of book you're publishing. But I think at the end of the day, you need to continue publishing more books, getting something new out there, even if it's just another volume of a book you've already done, because there's, on Amazon, there are different categories, and your book can be in, the top 100 for the category. So it's visible. But if you are putting out a new one, there's also what they used to call the new releases, or they used to call it the hot new releases. Now they're just called the new releases.
The new releases,
But that makes it visible in a completely different section than where your book is for the 30 days that it's, the first 30 days that it's live. And so if you've, a book out there, just let's say it's just paperback, you've got a paperback book out there, and then you put out a new one. Well, that new one is not only in the same category as your other one, but it's also in the new release. It's not either or, it's in both.
Yeah.
So again, the more places it's visible, the more chances that you're going to get those organic sales.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also the more books you create or write, the better you get at what you're doing. And it's really important. I mean, this is the ideal way of getting more book sales, is to create books that people want to read or people want to use and buy. And that is by researching as well. I see a lot of writers even making the same mistake as low content creators. They don't actually research what customers want to buy. And a lot of writers especially write about their own experiences in life in the hope that it might be interesting to somebody else. But life's not always like that. You have to sometimes, if you're writing for your own pleasure of it and you're because you love writing, then it doesn't matter. But if you're writing because you want to treat it as a business and you want to create an income from it, then it's really important that you write for your audience, that you write for, people, that you write about things that people want to buy. There's no point in writing about my life as a 5-year-old and how I grew up. Unless you're somebody famous, most people don't really.
Right.
A lot of people would read it, but you really want to appeal to as large a number of people as possible. And that's the way to find out who that is by researching and finding out what people want to buy. So that's another way of selling more books, is to get better with every book that you put out there and to improve and create better quality books, whether that's written books or low content books. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. So putting out good quality, well-written, well-designed books, that's important. And that's a way, that's with everything really, not just books, any products.
Yeah. And understand that, especially if you plan on being in this industry for a while, people's tastes change. So,
yes.
Doing the research one time, figuring, okay, this is the type of book I'm going to do, whether it's written or non-written, and then knocking out a bunch of them that way. And then 2 years down the road, you're still making that same type of book. You're still writing that same type of book. And if you haven't grown as an author, or you haven't grown as a book creator, a publisher, whatever you want to call yourself, in a matter of a year or 2 years, then you're really going backwards, because the industry's changing around you. I mean, especially, right now, the industry's changing like crazy. The industry's changing. Your customers are growing, their tastes are changing. And so that's one quick way to not sell more books, is to stay stagnant while everybody else is growing. So I agree 100% about, researching, but making it clear that it's not just a one-time thing. You should always be researching. My goal with every book that I do, regardless of what type of book is what can I do to make this book better than the last one?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because what I want to do is I want to get my last customer that loved my last book to want to get this one.
Exactly. And you want them to say, wow, this is even better than the first one.
Yeah. Well, this has been another great Mastermind, Nuria. Once again, a huge thank you to all our listeners and viewers who came to tag along. If you enjoyed today's Mastermind, please consider following or subscribing to the podcast, and maybe even leave us a review and let you know what you thought. It would mean the world to us. Until next week, I'm Keith Wheeler.
And I'm Nuria Corby.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining the Mastermind today. Be sure to follow the podcast on your platform of choice and tell a friend who would enjoy it too. Your support is greatly appreciated. This has been the Masterminding Success Podcast.